Volatility expanded inside layered New York session memory. During the February 11th New York session, range widened with visible structural acceleration across consecutive hourly candles. Bodies increased in size. Wicks extended deeper into prior session territory. The short-term Bollinger Bands opened decisively. Upper band lifted with momentum. Lower bands separated downward. Distance between the bands increased steadily over several candles. Expansion persisted long enough to demand structural attention. But persistence alone does not define relocation. Price advanced into the midpoint of the February 10th New York session range. That midpoint overlaps precisely with the upper boundary of the February 10th Asia session structure. Layered memory became active again. Simultaneously, price approached the upper boundary of the February 6th New York session. That boundary remains structurally relevant due to repeated prior interaction. It has not been structurally abandoned. Price tested near that level. It interacted. It rotated. But it did not establish persistent closing behavior beyond it. On the 1-hour chart, the 20-moving average remains positioned near the center of the February 11th session range. Price rotates toward it repeatedly, then drifts slightly away. It does not sustain separation. When price fails to maintain distance from its 20-moving average after expansion, continuation remains structurally unconfirmed. Balance remains present. Equilibrium persists. The long-term Bollinger Bands maintain slight downward slope across the broader structure. They are not aggressively widening. They are not sharply collapsing. Their posture reflects controlled volatility, not dominance, not transition. The short-term Bollinger Bands, after opening forcefully, begin narrowing gradually. Upper band flattens. Lower band lifts. Expansion transitions into digestion. Digestion signals absorption. Absorption signals processing. RSI lifted during early acceleration. Slope increased. Momentum appeared to build. Then slope flattened. Momentum slowed. Regime did not shift. Volatility expanded. Structure interacted with prior New York memory. Relocation did not persist. And interaction continues. Following the New York expansion, the February 11th Asia session reduced volatility progressively across multiple consecutive hours. Candles narrowed in size. Wicks shortened. Range compressed gradually without sudden impulse. The short-term Bollinger Bands tightened visibly during this contraction phase. Upper band stopped advancing. Lower band began lifting toward mid-range. Distance between the bands decreased steadily for several rotations. Compression persisted across multiple candles. It did not reverse immediately. Sustained compression reflects absorption. Absorption reflects digestion of prior expansion. Digestion delays structural resolution. On the 1-hour chart, price formed consistently within the lower half of the February 11th New York session range. It did not revisit the upper boundary during early Asia hours. It rotated downward toward remembered session levels. The 20-moving average flattened further as volatility declined. Its slope softened across consecutive candles. Its curvature reduced toward equilibrium. Price overlapped the 20-moving average repeatedly, moved slightly above it, returned beneath it again. Repeated overlap indicates rotational structure rather than directional persistence. Directional persistence requires separation. Separation did not sustain. The long-term Bollinger Bands maintained controlled slope during this phase. They did not widen further. They did not collapse aggressively. Their posture remained measured and balanced. Volatility reduction did not alter broader structural envelope. The outer framework stayed intact. RSI during the Asia session slowed significantly compared to New York acceleration. Slope diminished gradually. Momentum compressed toward mid-regime. There was no renewed upward impulse. There was no aggressive downward continuation. Energy stabilized. Later in the Asia session, price rotated toward the lower boundary of the February 10th New York session. Movement occurred gradually across several smaller rotations. It lacked acceleration. On the 15-minute chart, compression becomes even more apparent. Short-term Bollinger Bands narrowed tightly. Upper and lower bands nearly converged. Minor expansions appeared briefly. They stalled quickly. Continuation failed to develop. The 15-minute 20-moving average flattened noticeably. Price hovered near it for extended periods. Rotational equilibrium dominated lower timeframe structure. RSI on the 15-minute chart lifted modestly, then stalled without follow-through. Lifted again slightly, then stalled again near mid-regime. Momentum failed to build slope. Slope failed to convert into continuation. Volatility reduced across Asia hours. Time accumulated. Range remained contained inside February 11th memory. Compression absorbed expansion energy gradually. Absorption slowed structural decision-making. Decision-making remained deferred. The February 11th New York expansion has not been invalidated, but it has not been extended. Processing inside layered New York structure continues. Returning to the 1-hour chart, price remains confined within the February 11th New York session boundaries, without establishing persistent acceptance beyond either extreme. The upper boundary continues capping upward attempts. The lower boundary continues absorbing downward rotations. Neither side establishes sustained dominance. The 20-moving average remains central within the range. Price approaches it repeatedly, then drifts slightly away. Distance does not sustain beyond several candles. Rotation returns toward equilibrium. Equilibrium remains active. The short-term Bollinger Bands continue cycling between mild expansion and renewed compression. They open modestly, then narrow again. Opening fails to persist. Narrowing fails to trigger breakdown. Cycles repeat rhythmically. The long-term Bollinger Bands maintain controlled slope and stable width. They are not widening aggressively. They are not collapsing sharply. Their posture reflects broader containment. Containment reflects absence of structural relocation. Relocation requires acceptance. On the 15-minute chart, minor upward pushes encounter prior New York session memory quickly. Each push stalls near remembered boundaries. Continuation fades. Minor downward rotations approach lower memory zones. Absorption occurs there. Collapse does not follow. RSI across both timeframes remains balanced inside non-extreme regime. It lifts without dominance. It declines without collapse. Momentum oscillates within compressed range. Volatility breathes in controlled cycles. Structure remains negotiated rather than resolved. The February 11th New York session expanded range decisively earlier. The Asia session compressed that range gradually. Now price rotates within layered memory without abandoning structure. No sustained acceptance beyond the February 6th upper boundary. No sustained rejection below the February 10th lower boundary. Time continues to pass inside contained volatility. Energy expands briefly. Energy compresses again. Structure negotiates within prior New York memory.